It's Wednesday, April 1, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. Barbados records a dramatic rise in COVID-19 cases. Acting Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw told the nation this evening there are now 45 cases, and this is alarming.
Barbados identified its first case of COVID-19 on March 16th this year. And since then, we have witnessed an almost daily increase in the number of cases. As of yesterday, March 31st, we have done 382 laboratory tests for COVID-19, of which 45 have been positive. And the majority of new cases have been identified as imported persons residing in Barbados who have recently traveled abroad and returned. Our contact tracing efforts have identified the other cases. We are, however, extremely concerned by the fact that some of the more recent cases are persons presenting who are gravely ill. This now places us in a completely different territory, with the clear and present danger of widespread community transmission, such as we have seen in many other parts of the world.
The development triggered a meeting today of the island's top officials, including members of the social partnership. Bradshaw said there was strong agreement on the need to tighten restrictions under the Emergency Management Act, and she announced the following measures.
With immediate effect, a mandatory 14-day quarantine in a government facility will be placed on all persons entering Barbados, irrespective of port of origin or port of entry. With effect from the 3rd day of April 2020 until midnight on the 14th day of April of 2020, every non-essential service shall remain closed.
You can continue to track further details on our social media platforms and in subsequent newscasts. Government has approved a $28 million supplementary to ensure the country's most vulnerable citizens will be better able to cope during the current coronavirus pandemic and the upcoming hurricane season. The action was taken during an emergency meeting of Parliament this morning. Speaking before the Standing Committee on the Supplementary Estimates Number 1, Minister in the Ministry of Finance Ryan Strawn explained that $10 million will be allocated to the Prime Minister's office for the purpose of the Household Survivor Program. $8.5 million would go to the government's procurement department and $10 million to the welfare department.
These sums of money being voted today in total really just represents a start in terms of how we will augment the cash transfer program to individuals and households at the very time where there's great uncertainty with respect to one, when in a sense how long it will take for us to contain the public health emergency, when the economy in Barbados, in terms of what we have proposed with respect to stimulus, given the curfew, and how when business will start back in that context. And then 3, sir, when the lag impact that the global economy is going to have, because it will take some time before normal tourism and those activities start to come back. And so therefore it is important that in the short to medium term, that these cash transfer programs, sir, to individuals and households can be accelerated.
There's also an assurance that no one will be left behind to fend for themselves as the country battles the coronavirus pandemic. Minister of People Empowerment and Elderly Affairs Cynthia Ford today revealed that while 2,000 families have been identified as being vulnerable, there are others struggling who have not been yet accounted for, and they will receive assistance.
Are we determined we're going to draw on police officers, post men and women or postal workers, the youth commissioners, the social workers, community officers, politicians, any and everybody who could give us information so that we can send our social workers into our various communities to indicate what the needs are and to document. And therefore, there's no point in having all the money in the Treasury and in the National Insurance Office and wherever, and people out there don't have a simple, ordinary meal to eat on a daily basis.
In other news this Wednesday, a non-national today became the first person to appear before the law courts for breaching the nightly curfew. 23-year-old Christiane Bridget Beacon from Kingston, Jamaica, who has no fixed place of abode, today pleaded guilty to remaining outdoors along Government Hill St. Michael between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. without a reasonable explanation. Beacon arrived at the Grantley Adams International Airport on March 11 and was granted a 6-month stay. During today's hearing, Sergeant Theodore McLean told the court that she did not stay at the Hopewell St. Thomas residence she provided immigration authorities on her arrival, and she did not have the financial means to sustain her stay on the island. Beacon was remanded to Dodds until April 29.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now in Guyana, the family of 38-year-old Jermaine Eiffel is seeking answers about his death. Eiffel tested positive for COVID-19, and family members claim that he called the coronavirus hotline in Guyana and informed them of his symptoms, but no one ever visited or followed up his calls. His sister, Kiamar Humphrey, spoke with the newsroom's Fazera Hanif.
Kimar Humphrey, the sister of Jermaine Eiffel, told the newsroom that her brother called the coronavirus hotline 3 times before he finally decided to visit the Georgetown Public Hospital on March 25. He was admitted immediately in the male ward, where he was told that he had pneumonia. He died on Tuesday, March 31, at around 9 hours 30 in the COVID-19 intensive care unit after he tested positive for the disease on Saturday, March 28. Humphrey, during a telephone interview with the newsroom on Wednesday, said her brother was treated for pneumonia in early 2019 and always had a coughing problem. But Eiffel, who was an emergency medical technician, EMT, started to feel sick and weak 3 weeks ago after he returned from the Saudi hospital on the Essequibo Coast in Region 2, where he trained staff in basic CPR and other first responder courses. Eiffel co-owned and managed the Reliance Healthcare Medical Company.
You know, we know him with his cough whole year through. Soon he laughed too hard, he would cough and this and that. So we know nobody take it for anything. He himself must take it for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up starting feeling sick, 2 weeks in. So he was calling the hotline. Well, he do your own research and things. He ended up calling the hotline numbers and stuff like that. And he called them 3 times, and nobody didn't come. They said they didn't come, they didn't call. Nobody didn't come, nobody didn't call. So he decided to go to Georgetown Hospital last week, Wednesday, and this is when they admit him. So I called him and I was like, you sure you okay? He said, yeah, he just needs rest. He's feeling a little weak, so he just hooked up his own saline at home and he was using it.
Mm.
And so on. Then his wife telling me that he called them 3 times instead of coming, nobody didn't come and this kind of stuff. So he went to the hospital last week when then they run the tests and then they tell he's pneumonia.
On the international scene, the head of the World Health Organization today voiced deep concern about the rapid escalation and global spread of COVID-19 infections, which has now reached 205 countries and territories.
As we enter the 4th month since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm deeply concerned about the rapid escalation and global spread of infection. Over the past 5 weeks, we have witnessed a near exponential growth in the number of new cases, reaching almost every country, territory, and area. The number of deaths has more than doubled in the past week. In the next few days, we will reach 1 million confirmed cases and 50,000 deaths.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.